Hello, thank you so much for tuning into my YouTube channel. Today's video is gonna be a short tutorial on how to use ChatGPT to write scientific papers or ISI papers. Writing those types of papers could be very hard for the students, but I'm gonna show you guys how you could use ChatGPT to help you write those papers so that you would also sound very sophisticated. Let's get started and see how we could do that. As I said, this video is going to be a short tutorial on how to use ChatGPT to write a scientific paper. Writing a scientific paper can be very daunting, especially for the students. Every scientific paper consists of a few major parts, namely abstract, introduction, experiment and procedure, results and discussions, and conclusions. In this video, I will show you guys how you could use ChatGPT to help you write a scientific paper yourself. For this video, I will be using example papers that I have already written and published in 2014 and 2018. I will show you how to write each part of the paper using an example. Let's say we want to write an abstract for a paper, but all we have is a bunch of bullet points which summarizes what we have done overall. Like we use principal component analysis for the spectral reflectance reconstruction from CIE XYZ to stimulus values. We use the first 6 eigenvectors. Weighted nonlinear regression was used to estimate the second set of XYZ to stimulus values under the second set of viewing condition. The weighting function is the inverse of the Euclidean distance between the colorimetric values of the training samples and that of the testing sample. And also the results are compared with the classical PCA, which showed that our model has done better. So how can we write an abstract with these bullet points? We know that we have done this, but how can we write it? We want to ask ChatGPT to write up an abstract that consists of 150 words. Let's see how ChatGPT could do that. Okay, here we are. I'm gonna ask ChatGPT to write me an abstract using these bullet points. And I wanted to keep the length to 150 words. I keep the shift, I hit the enter, and I'm gonna paste the bullet points here, and that's it. Let's see what ChatGPT does. So that's about it. You can see that it has done a pretty good job. I'm not going to read all of it, but you could see that the ChatGPT has done a good job writing this abstract for us. This paper presents a novel approach for spectral reflectance reconstruction from CIE XYZ stimulus values using principal component analysis. And then additionally, weighted nonlinear regression was utilized to estimate the second set of XYZ. This is explaining the weighting function as I wanted it to do. And then comparative analysis, which showed that our method has done better. Has done a very good job. Especially it helps me with my second language. English is my second language, but ChatGPT would make me also sound more sophisticated. Okay, let's go on. Now for introduction, it is based on summarizing the results of the major papers in the area on which you have written your paper. So summarizing the paper that you want to reference is the main task you have to do in the introduction section of your paper. But how could you do that? Let's see how we can do that using ChatGPT. So let's say I want to include this paper in my introduction part. So this is the paper, and I have copied some of the paper into the separate Word file. You need to copy the abstract part of the experiment and procedure and also the conclusion part of the paper. And just copy it into ChatGPT and ask it to write you up a summary of the paper in 4 sentences or 3 sentences. Let ChatGPT know that you want this summary of the paper to be included in the introduction section of your paper. Now, these are the copy that I made from that paper that I just showed you. And I'm gonna just paste it into ChatGPT. So I asked ChatGPT, could you summarize the highlights of the following paper in 4 sentences? I want to include that in the introduction part of my ISI paper. And this is the copy that I made, and I already pasted it. And this is the answer of ChatGPT, and you could see that there are 4 sentences in this summarized version of this paper. It has summarized it very well, and only the highlights of the paper have been included. Now for the experiment and procedure section, let's say we have done the followings in our experiment. Nikon D4D is used as an RGB digital camera. We want to colorimetrically and spectrally characterize this camera. 3 sets of samples, namely 140 patch McBath color checker, 24 patch McBath color checker, and also 130 patch target made out of artist paints. These are the samples that we use. And the first sample is used as training and the others as testing. Also, pictures of targets are taken in the light booth under 3 different light sources. The cameras are fixed on the tripod. The camera outputs 2 types of images, JPEG and NEF. And then let's say I have no idea what these 2 formats of images are. So I'm going to ask ChatGPT to add some explanation for these 2 right after it has written this part. So I'm saying, ChatGPT, can you add some explanation for JPEG and NEF formats here right after the above sentence? Can you also add some explanation about the importance of using raw image instead of the JPEG image? You could see that I did not have to do this myself, so I'm asking ChatGPT to add this. And now again, I'm saying after extracting the raw image, it was converted to an uncompressed TIFF file. And then I'm going to be saying that the camera mean response for each patch of the samples are calculated for each channel. And then I'm going to ask ChatGPT to help me explain this more, and also add some matrix equation to explain it even better. So I'm again asking ChatGPT to explain more what I mean with computing the camera mean response for each color chart and then in this section. So it's very interesting. I'm asking ChatGPT to help me come up with some more explanation. Let's see how ChatGPT uses these bullet points to write me up an experiment and procedure section. So here we go. So I'm saying use these points to write me up an experiment procedure section for my paper. These are the points that we already looked over, and this is what ChatGPT wrote for me, which is very good. And you could see that this section has been added by ChatGPT itself, where it explains why it's using raw image instead of the JPEG. And also here it explains JPEG and NEF image formats. And I have asked it to do it itself. It's really helpful. And also here the camera mean response has been explained more. And then it ended the section on its own. You could see how helpful ChatGPT could be. In some parts, I didn't even know what to write about specific topics, such as why use the raw image and not the JPEG image, or even what are the JPEG and the raw image formats. But I asked ChatGPT and it knows very well what to write. The same is true for the results and discussions and the conclusion parts of your paper as well. You just have to know what you want to include in your paper in bullet points, and ChatGPT is going to take care of the rest. I won't do that for the results and discussions, but I'm going to ask ChatGPT to write me up a conclusion section using the following points. These are the points that I want ChatGPT to use to write me up a conclusion. So I'm saying we use different approaches for the spectral color reproduction using RGB digital cameras. And then I'm saying comparing our method with the prior one showed that our method has done better. With that said, although the spectral accuracy was high, the colorimetric accuracy wasn't high. And then we use a separate path to increase the colorimetric accuracy. And then I'm saying what the user chooses depends on how fast or how accurate he or she wants the model to be. And then finally, I'm saying with linear model being fast but not as accurate, and the nonlinear models being not as fast but very accurate. So let's ask ChatGPT to write us up a conclusion section for our paper. I have already asked ChatGPT to write me the conclusion part. Let's go have a look at it. So that's the conclusion part. These are the points that I just showed you, and I'm asking it to write me a conclusion part. You could see that it has written a very long conclusion, so I didn't like it. I said, could you make it a bit shorter, like in one paragraph and 150 words or less? And then it changed it to this. So it's very good. You could see how helpful ChatGPT could be for writing a scientific paper. I highly recommend using that, especially for people whose second language is English, just like me. It makes you sound more sophisticated and reduces your burden when it comes to writing papers. I hope you found it helpful and you would use it in writing your papers. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you liked it and you were able to get something out of it. If you liked it, I would appreciate if you could subscribe to my channel and also share the video with your friends. Thank you so much and have a nice day.